The click of the light switch was louder than it should have been. I stood there a second longer, hands still on it, watching the office I'd built from drywall and whiteboards go dark for the last time. 21 years, gone before lunch. That office used to be a corner in a rented closet with 2 folding chairs and a dry erase board that barely erased. Now, sleek walls, glass doors, automated blinds, and not a single thing left with my name on it, except for the exit paperwork in my backpack. Brock, the new CEO, had called me in first thing that morning. Sat there with that same smug little corporate smile like he was announcing free bagels in the break room. "We're restructuring," he said, like that word wasn't the go-to excuse for gutting legacies. "Today's your last day." I didn't argue, didn't beg, just nodded. I already knew what this was. I'd felt the shift over the last year, the whispers, the new hires that looked straight past me in meetings. Brock had been waiting for this. I packed light, my own laptop, a red leather binder I hadn't touched since 2006, and my world's okayest boss mug that my daughter gave me in '09. That was it. I left the rest, the plaques, the frame print of our first funding check, not worth dragging. Walking out, I passed my old team. No eye contact, eyes on screens. Slack windows open, but nobody typing. A couple backs turned so fast I almost laughed. Everyone's suddenly very busy not noticing me. I didn't say a word. Not to the guy who used to eat lunch at my desk every Friday. Not to Jenna, who I personally recommended for promotion last fall. Not even to the new junior dev who still thought Jason was a startup. Let them be afraid. I get it. Nobody wants to be next. But make no mistake, I wasn't done. Not even close. Quick note, before we go further, share which city or country you're watching from. The elevator ride down was quiet, no music. Just the buzz of fluorescent lights and the hum of my thoughts. Not sadness, not even anger, just clarity. When I stepped outside, I didn't look back. I didn't head home, just kept driving east until the city started thinning out. Half an hour later, I ended up in this crusty old cafe we used to meet in back when the company was broke and dreaming. Place hadn't changed, still smelled like burnt coffee and bleach, still had that flickering light in the corner nobody ever fixed. I slid into a cracked vinyl booth by the window, ordered a molasses cookie and a black coffee I knew would taste like battery acid. Didn't matter, I wasn't here for the food. I dropped the red binder on the table. Leather, beat to hell, corners scuffed raw. The thing hadn't left my bookshelf in over a decade, but I always kept it close, just in case. Well, this was the case. I flipped it open and there it was. The original IP agreement from when we started Red Loop Systems. Back when it was just me, Ethan, Rob, and Nate renting a sublet office above a Thai restaurant. I wrote the foundational code, from scratch. Every module, every layer. The deal was simple. I'd own the IP until equity was finalized. It never was. I had it in black and white, typed, signed, and stapled. No version 2, no amendment, no final transfer. Just the original. Untouched. I slid the binder aside and pulled out my laptop. Searched my inbox, typed the names one by one. Rob, Nate, Brock. Back when he was just that Stanford guy they brought in for growth. I had the emails. One from 2014. Me. Just checking. We still need to finalize IP transfer, right? Nate. Yup, just a formality. We'll get to it. One from 2017. Me. Still waiting on the updated IP docs. Should I have my lawyer draft something? Rob. Don't worry about it, man. We've got bigger fish to fry. Let's loop back later. Later never came. I scrolled slower, feeling that sharp little snap in my chest. Not regret, not sadness. Just the realization that I'd been right to keep my receipts. They'd never cleaned it up, never crossed the T's, never even asked if the original docs were still valid. I reached into my bag, pulled out the old envelope I'd tucked into the binder years ago. Original EIN and LLC formation papers for Red Loop Systems. Active, untouched, still under my name. I sat back, watched the waitress drop the molasses cookie onto the table with a bored grunt. Didn't even glance at me. Good. I didn't want attention. I took a bite. Dry, sweet, gritty, just like I remembered. Like chewing on memory. Then I opened my phone and shot a message to Jeff Grant, lawyer. I met at a startup conference back in 2011. Smart, quiet, doesn't advertise. Me. Got time to talk? I think I just got fired from something I still own. Didn't take long. 3 dots popped up, then disappeared. Then this. Jeff. Call me in 20, bring everything. I looked down at the binder. Thought about the years they brushed me off. We'll get to it. It's just paperwork. It's handled. Turns out they never handled a damn thing. I opened a new doc, started listing out everything. Timestamps, email threads, original clauses, who said what and when. I wasn't going in half-cocked. This wasn't about revenge. This was ownership. They thought I walked out with a mug and a laptop. They forgot who built the damn house. I packed up, cookie half-eaten, coffee still full. Binder under my arm, I headed for the car. The real meeting was about to start. By the time I got back to my place, the sun was dipping behind the hill. I tossed the binder on the kitchen table, pulled the battery from my work laptop, and powered down the company phone for good. That was the first trigger. The system didn't crash all at once. It frayed like old rope. Subtle at first. A client portal login fails. Then another. Then the metrics dashboard goes dark for the European accounts. By midnight, the ticket queue was flooded. I didn't have to check. I already knew what was happening. The core modules I wrote, the spine of the whole damn thing, weren't standard plug-and-play. I'd built them to scale, sure, but I'd also built them with architecture-level safeguards, encryption layers, access keys tied directly to Red Loop Systems, my LLC, not the new umbrella company Brock created during his modernization initiative. It was all still under my control. Every heartbeat of the system pulsed through my signature. They never rewired the foundation, just built fancier walls on top. And now, with me cut off, the system had no master, no valid keys, no override path. That red error flashing across their admin screens, that wasn't a bug, that was me. Sometime around 2 a.m., I got a ping from a former DevOps guy on my personal phone. Just a, "Hey, you seen this stuff?" I didn't reply. By morning, full panic had set in. Client services couldn't pull up user histories. Uptime monitors were redlining. A billing loop triggered 23 duplicate charges to a major banking partner. That alone would cost them 6 figures in clawbacks. I pictured Brock pacing the floor in his stupid leather sneakers, screaming, "Reboot something," like it was 2004. They say he stormed into the server room like he was about to solve everything. Security had to badge him in. He didn't even know the rack layout. He just stood there pointing at cables like the answers were written in bold. I'm told he started shouting about back-end integrity and full-stack refresh logic. Guys stared at him like he'd just spit out alien math. One of them, Tom, messaged my buddy later. It was like watching a guy try to blow into a USB port. Every system failure led back to one place: the foundational layer, my code, my structure, my encryption, and without the keys, that code doesn't budge, doesn't open, doesn't even acknowledge the request. I never handed those over, not on paper, not verbally, not in email, not ever. Because I always knew this day might come. They could own the branding, the office, the staff list on LinkedIn. Hell, they could even own the vision. But they didn't own the core, not the logic, not the code base, not the blood I'd poured into it line by line. So, yeah, the system was cracking, and I wasn't lifting a finger. By mid-morning, IT was in full meltdown. Slack channels were a war zone. Jira blew up. DevOps flagged the incident at SCV-1, then SCV-0, then just gave up labeling it all together. Someone posted "core breach" with 3 question marks. Another tagged Brock directly. "Need eyes on this. Clients are completely offline." Sales was already on fire. Their biggest enterprise client, a multi-state healthcare network, couldn't access dashboards or reporting tools. Legal compliance deadlines were now impossible to meet. I imagined the reps lying through their teeth on the phone. "We're aware of the issue and working around the clock." Yeah, good luck with that, because they couldn't fix this. They didn't even know where it started. Emails flew. People started asking the same question over and over. Who last touched the core modules? Only one answer: me. That's when things got quiet for a second. Not in the office, but inside the threads. Like everybody knew, all at once they were neck deep in something bigger than just a code outage. Then someone finally brought it up. It was one of the newer engineers. I think her name was Alicia. She said, "Wasn't there some old red binder with original setup notes or something? Might help us trace module ownership." Poor kid thought it was just legacy documentation. That binder, that was the kill switch. And the proof. Brock apparently lost his mind right there in the middle of the war room. "Reboot the production environment," he shouted, like they were running a damn WordPress blog. One of the lead sysadmins, Jules, flat out told him, "We don't use containers, sir. We're on bare metal." That's when Brock realized he didn't know what any of those words meant. Worse, he didn't know how deep the problem went. The team started digging through access logs, looking for breaches, backdoors, anything to explain why the system was eating itself. And the logs told the truth. Every failed access attempt, every permission denied, every request timeout, all traced back to the same root authority. Red Loop Systems, LLC, my LLC. They thought they absorbed it, folded it in, moved on, but they never changed the architecture, never migrated the control structure, never shut off the valves I put in place 15 years ago. Because they didn't know they existed. I'd built a system that didn't need loyalty. It just needed rules. And the one rule was, if ownership isn't verified, access is denied. Period. There was no override. No master switch in the CTO's drawer. No cloud dashboard to click and fix it all. They weren't just locked out. They were renters trying to change the locks on a house they didn't legally own. And now every single person in that building, every engineer, every VP, every clueless director saw the same ugly truth print out on those logs. They didn't control the engine room. I did. And Brock, he just fired the only one holding the keys. Jeff's office sat 10 floors above a downtown law building that smelled like leather and printer toner. Sleek, cold, quiet. The kind of place where no one raised their voice unless someone just signed a deal with at least 6 zeros. He met me in the lobby, espresso already in hand, sleeves rolled up. "You brought it?" he asked before we even reached the elevator. I nodded and held up the binder like a badge. By the time we hit his glass-walled conference room, the espresso machine hissed again, and his assistant slid a second cup across the table. Strong, bitter, good. No small talk. I laid it all out. The IP agreement, the shell company docs, the original LLC formation, the emails, every time I asked them to finalize ownership. Every time they said they'd circle back. Every chance they had to make it right. Jeff flipped through page after page, lips twitching into a smirk. "They're cooked," he muttered, eyes never leaving the contract. I opened my laptop and brought up the live system logs. Red bars everywhere. Admin access fully revoked across all major functions. Data pipelines frozen. Auth tokens expired. And in the corner of the dashboard, plain as daylight, the licensing field read, "Registered to Red Loop Systems, LLC, owner, my full name." Jeff leaned back. "Jesus, they never reassigned the license holder?" "Nope." He actually laughed. "This is malpractice. Did legal even—" They thought it was done verbally. No signed doc, no amendment. Not even a memo. Just then my phone buzzed. A push alert from a server monitor. Brock's legal team had just tried to force a patch through the system. Jeff squinted at the error message on my screen. "Update failed, unauthorized. See clause 7.3 of license agreement." He looked at me. "Clause 7.3? I flipped to the page in the binder and slid it across. Modification of source layer logic requires explicit consent from IP holder, in writing, per incident. Jeff shook his head, grinning. "I don't even need to draft the argument. This thing's airtight." Back across town, the panic was setting in. Fast. We could see it in real time. Patch attempts failing, recovery protocols bouncing, automated Slack alerts going out. Someone tried to restore access using a legacy credentials file from 2015. No dice. Then they tried brute forcing a rebuild off archived containers. But there were no containers. I'd told them 3 times we never migrated. Jeff watched the logs dance and said, "You sure you're not interested in going back in? Just to see the look on their faces? Not my problem anymore." He raised his espresso like a toast. Still, hell of a move. I sipped mine, feeling the heat crawl through my chest, slow and steady. Not adrenaline, not revenge, just clarity. They'd had every chance, every reminder, every flag, and they ignored all of it because they thought ownership was a formality. They forgot it's the foundation. The boardroom was already full when the founder called in from Spain. He was still in golf clothes, AirPods in, pacing in front of a blurred Zoom background. "Why the hell is half the platform offline?" he barked. "I've got clients threatening lawsuits." Brock stood at the head of the table, palms flat, sweating through his shirt. "We're investigating." "Investigating? It's been 15 hours. Where's the rollback?" "We're working on it," Brock lied, voice cracking. That's when General Counsel walked in. No laptop, just a thick stack of paper clutched in both hands like a Bible. She didn't sit. She slapped the pages down right in front of Brock. "Licensing clause, original IP agreement, still binding. Signed in 2006. Brock stared at it, blinking like it was written in another language. She kept going. "There's also a 2020 email from the plaintiff." Yeah, she called me that. "Asking for clarification on IP ownership." She pulled out the page and read it aloud. "Subject, IP transfer still pending." My words. "We still haven't finalized IP transfer. Just flagging this again." And Brock's reply, 2 lines below, "Let's circle back." The founder stopped pacing. "You what?" Brock shifted, eyes darting toward the speaker. "It was supposed to be taken care of." "Taken care of? You fired the architect and didn't check the damn foundation?" Nobody moved. Someone at the far end coughed into a sleeve. A guy from product stared at the wall, like maybe it'd give him a portal out of the room. The founder leaned toward the camera. "Let me be crystal clear. The code is locked. The systems are rejecting all inputs. Clients are losing trust. And the legal owner of the platform is now sitting outside our entire infrastructure." He paused, then added slowly, "And you fired him without reviewing the damn IP clause." Silence. Brock's mouth opened, but nothing came out. General Counsel turned to the board. "We're exposed. Every hour this continues adds liability. The system is clearly built around the original IP licensing structure. We didn't migrate. We didn't terminate it. We didn't replace it. Someone finally broke. We need an emergency vote." It came fast. Motion. Seconded. All in favor. One by one, hands went up. Even the guy who once called me legacy dead weight. The founder didn't even wait for the count. "Brock, leave the room." Brock stood there like he didn't understand the words. The founder raised his voice. "Now." Brock gathered his tablet and walked out with all the grace of a guy realizing his email just tanked a company. The door clicked shut behind him, and in that room, in that exact moment, they all finally understood. I hadn't stormed out. I hadn't quit in protest. I hadn't gotten pushed out by some restructuring plan. I'd walked away. Calm, quiet, binder in hand. And I took the source code with me. Next morning, I walked into Jeff's glass office building without breaking stride. No security badge, no clipboard sign-in. The front desk guy nodded me through like I owned the place. Maybe I did, in spirit. Elevator up, 22nd floor. Quiet hallway, thick carpet. That kind of silence you only get in buildings where everything costs more than it looks like it should. Jeff met me at the door, sleeves rolled, tie off, legal pad in one hand, espresso in the other. "Ready?" he asked. I nodded once. No smile, no handshake. Inside the conference room, a single folder waited at the center of the table. Nothing dramatic, no seals, just paper. But it might as well have been a grenade. He opened it and slid it my way. 3-year exclusive license, he said. $90 million up front, 10% royalty on net revenue from new contracts, lifetime. You get a board seat, final say on architecture-level changes, full public retraction of the firing. He paused. Plus language stating Brock's removal was part of the corrective action. I didn't blink. "Done." He handed me the pen, black ink, ballpoint. No fanfare. I signed. That was it. Jeff picked up his phone and dialed straight through. No assistant, no warm-up. "This is Jeff Grant," he said. "The licensing agreement has been signed. It's final. We'll expect the wire by noon." He hung up without waiting for confirmation. I stood, tucked the pen into my jacket, and nodded once. "That's it?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. "That's it." The elevator ride down felt different this time. Weightless, no dread, no noise in my head. Just that low hum of calm you only get after years of holding your breath. I stepped out into the morning air, crisp and clean. Downtown was moving like always. Horns, crosswalks, sidewalk chatter. But none of it touched me. No phone buzzed, no Slack alerts lit up, no calendar invites. Nobody asking for a quick sync, a pivot, a deck review. I walked a few blocks with nothing but my shoes on pavement and the sound of someone else trying to control a world I no longer belonged to. It was the first quiet I'd heard in years. I stopped at a bench near the park and sat down, watching a guy throw a ball for his dog like nothing in the world was on fire. And for once, it wasn't my fire to put out. They'd thought firing me was a clean break. Turned out, I was the concrete under their feet. And now, they had to pay rent. At 3:59 p.m., they opened the shareholder call. By 4:01, it stopped feeling like a meeting and started feeling like a funeral. Founder's voice came over the speaker, flat, sharp, dead calm. This is an official recording of the October 31st emergency session. We are reviewing the terms of the resolution contract signed this morning. He didn't skip a word, didn't summarize. Just read the whole thing, page by page, clause by clause. His voice echoing through that glass boardroom like a judge handing out a sentence. I wasn't there, didn't need to be. Jeff had someone dial me in and mute my mic. I listened while walking past a bagel shop downtown, sun hitting the side of my face like I'd finally earned it. Clause 15, the founder said. Immediate termination of any executive responsible for breach of IP protocols or failure to validate system ownership prior to modification. He paused. Per this clause, effective immediately, Brock Kessler is removed from his role as CEO. You could hear the shift in the room, even through the call. A chair creaked. A pen tapped once against the table. Then silence again. The founder didn't even look up at first, just kept reading. Licensing rights revert to the original IP holder for the duration of the exclusive term. No system modifications may proceed without written approval. All code produced between 2006 and 2020 is now officially documented under the following name. He looked up. My full name, sole architect, IP license holder, controlling entity for Red Loop Systems. Then he turned his head, slow, deliberate, and stared straight across the table at Brock. You fired the guy who owns our code. Brock didn't say a word. He didn't deny it. Couldn't. He just sat there with that dry-mouthed look, blinking like he still didn't get it. The board chair leaned forward. Motion to accept terms as read? Motion, someone said. Seconded, another replied. All in favor? Every hand went up. No debate, no hesitation. Brock kept staring at the table like maybe it would swallow him whole. He didn't look up when the vote passed, didn't ask for time to respond. He knew. The founder tapped the stack of papers once, just loud enough to cut through the silence. Meeting adjourned. A junior analyst hit a few keys, and within minutes the system logs, press materials, and public records were updated. My name was live across the platform, on the footer, in the documentation. Inside the admin console under System Architect, my full name. And Brock? He sat frozen as it all rolled out. A man watching his own name vanish in real time. Nothing to say, nothing to fight. I never set foot in the building. Didn't shake a hand, didn't raise my voice, didn't lift a damn finger. And still, he watched me erase him. Just after 6, I walked back into the office. No badge escort, no meeting invite, just me, same as always. The glass doors slid open like nothing had changed. My badge scanned green on the first try. That soft beep, the one I used to hear every morning before the sun came up, still hit like muscle memory. The place was half empty. Friday energy. A few heads looked up from their monitors, then right back down. No one said anything. I didn't stop. I made my way down the west hallway, past the war room, the whiteboard I built the original flowchart on, the snack wall Brock installed like that would buy loyalty. Then my door. The sign was gone, but the room was the same. I pushed it open. The lights were off. The air smelled faintly of dry carpet and burnt coffee. Someone had overwatered the plant in the corner. Leaves drooped, soil soaked, like the thing had tried too hard to stay alive. My chair was still there. Same worn-out lumbar cushion. The wall still had the nail hole from the plaque I took home. Mousepad hadn't moved. Coffee ring in the exact same spot it had been since last fall. I didn't sit. Just walked to the switch by the door, placed my fingers on it, and pressed. Click. Fluorescence buzzed awake overhead. Light filled the room, sharp, sterile, nothing comforting about it. No applause, no welcome banner, no voice saying, "We're so glad you're back." Just me, and the hum of everything they thought they could own. They didn't fire a legacy dev. They didn't push out dead weight. They fired the blueprint, the foundation. I never yelled, never threatened, never got dramatic. I just showed them the receipts. And now every login request, every server push, every client invoice, every update, all of it, starts with my name in the system logs. Not revenge, just truth, the kind that doesn't go away. Do you think Brock deserved to be fired? Or was the board just covering their own mistake? Drop your take in the comments. I'm curious who you'd hold responsible. And if that hit hard, hit subscribe for more revenge stories.